Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Alright guys, Boruto chapter 77 review. This chapter right here was definitely an elite chapter. The biggest thing, obviously, Kawaki sealed Naruto. One of the things that I definitely did like for the Boruto writers to actually add in was the fact that they made it clear that Kawaki doesn't really hate Naruto. One of the first things that did actually happen when he did come into the household of the Uzumakis was essentially reassuring Naruto that I love you and everything like that. You showed me a different side of me, and then he even said that he'd give his own life to protect Naruto. So made it clear, Kawaki does not hate Naruto, and I think that right there was like a very good thing for a lot of the fans out there, because I know some people would have those theories. But after that, he essentially gave his plan, and his plan was essentially to eradicate the Otsutsuki clan. Now, the eradication of the Otsutsuki clan on the surface doesn't really sound that crazy until we remember that Boruto is an actual Otsutsuki member, and Boruto is the closest Otsutsuki member to Kawaki at this particular point in regards to proximity. So of course the tension in the room went off the charts at that particular point. And this right here is a scene where I have to commend the Boruto writers. They showed Kawaki's personality 1000%. I know how some people say, hey, the anime makes Kawaki look soft and everything like that, but Kawaki in this particular scene was absolutely cold-blooded. Hinata slaps Kawaki and essentially alludes to the fact that he might be insane. Kawaki then says, I have to be crazy to kill my own brother. And right before that, Kawaki was even colder. He says, do you know what my first thought was when I found out Boruto was alive? That I'd failed to take him down. Just that alone lets us understand the resolve in Kawaki's heart, and that right there, of course, shows the character that Kawaki is. He's a cold-blooded guy, like similar to Sasuke. If Sasuke said something like this, it wouldn't be a surprise. Now, the sealing process itself looked very, very interesting. Kawaki during this particular point didn't necessarily have his karma seal out. We see him in this picture right here. He doesn't have the karma seal on his face or his arm, and there's still the portal that pops up. Now, I do have to point out, Kawaki and Boruto have used karma seal abilities without actually fully showing us the karma seal all over their body. Specifically, if you guys do recall, there was a time where Kawaki and Boruto did actually open a portal, and they didn't necessarily activate their karma seal fully. It was only a partial kind of karma activation on the palm of their hands. We didn't really get to see the palm of Kawaki's hands in this particular scene, so we could possibly say it was a time space ninjutsu from the karma seal. But I don't want to totally rule out the fact that he might actually have opened the portal from his dojutsu, or because the fact that he's just a flat out Otsutsuki member, and Otsutsuki members can do miraculous things that we can't really explain. I wouldn't necessarily make a leap to actually say that Kawaki now has another form of time space ninjutsu, even though I will say I can't rule that out completely. But at this particular stage when Kawaki is young, him and Boruto are like still getting used to their Otsutsuki abilities, I highly doubt that he did this without the karma seal. And again, this right here is going to be very important, mainly because depending on which dimension he sealed Naruto in, Boruto can possibly rescue Naruto. If Kawaki sealed Naruto using the karma seal, it's possible that Boruto has access to that dimension as well. But if he sealed Naruto using something else, then you never really know if Boruto can actually truly get back to that dimension. Not only that, even worse, if he sealed him using Ishiki Otsutsuki's dojutsu, Boruto is probably almost never getting to that dimension. I don't necessarily see a way that he could possibly get there unless he himself steals Kawaki's eyes and uses it, or potentially like a full-blown other scientific dojutsu. You never know. But that right there is the situation. So I do believe that he did seal Naruto with the karma seal, but I still want to know specifically why he would have his dojutsu out. A bunch of other things confusing. But of course, Kawaki sealing Naruto is probably going to be one of the biggest storylines, not only in this month, but possibly throughout this whole entire year. Boruto definitely dropped a banger for the first chapter of 2023, which is crazy. But another thing that did actually catch my eye, of course, Code. This man has been working. Now, supposedly these things are called claw grime. I don't necessarily rock with the name, but regardless, there's over 1,000 of these things that are being created. One of the things that we kind of assumed was the fact that he might scale down the number of these. The idea is that if you split up a huge power among 10 people, the 10 people are going to be a lot more powerful than if you would split up the power among 1,000 people. The power is going to be a lot more condensed, and they're going to be a lot more stronger than the potential 1,000 that, of course, Code did actually make. So with this particular situation, one of the things that we do understand is that Code was actually playing a war, but then he did actually realize that, hey, A-list now in the Hidden Leaf Village, and that right there is probably not actually going to be able to happen. So I don't necessarily know exactly what Code actually wants to do. And this right here also could possibly have some ramifications of what we did see episode 1, the first scene, where we did see the Hidden Leaf Village completely destroyed. One of the things that is very possible is for the army to actually attack the Hidden Leaf Village. Now, what Code specifically wants to do is he wants to like destroy everything that's near and dear to Kawaki. The Hidden Leaf Village is something that is actually near and dear to Kawaki. Remember, he's not allowed to kill Kawaki, so Kawaki is not really the target. So if the target is genuinely the Hidden Leaf Village, that can actually happen if Kawaki and Boruto are presumably not in the Hidden Leaf Village. No one's really going to be able to stop an unlimited code plus over 1,000 of these claw grime from destroying the village, and that right there could possibly be why the Hidden Leaf Village is destroyed in the first episode. Now, this chapter wasn't necessarily all doom and gloom. We did kind of get a very good note, and that right there did actually come from Himawari. This right here was definitely a very, very good seed for Himawari. I did kind of talk about this in previous videos, where Damon kind of made it seem that he senses some sort of untapped potential or untapped power inside of Himawari, and that right there was like completely confirmed in this particular chapter right here. The context behind it makes it even more clear. Like, first things first, it might be a situation that Damon truly has the power to gauge other people's abilities, and this right here is even exacerbated by the fact that Damon kind of wanted to tell Code all of his abilities, but Ada kind of forced him to not actually do that. So it's possible that Damon has some abilities that hasn't necessarily been told to us, and this right here might actually be one of them. While Damon was on Boruto's shoulder, he not only called Boruto weak, of course, but he also said everyone who met us at the station was small fry too. So he was essentially saying that everybody that he did see when he first came to the Hidden Leaf Village, they were also weak. And then immediately he sensed some power, and then he like went directly to Himawari, like directly there. So then Damon said the regular. This right here was kind of portrayed in the spoils, how Damon went up to Himawari, tried to punch her, but she didn't necessarily flinch, and he realized that, hey, Himawari isn't necessarily that strong yet, and then Boruto pulls Damon back. Now at this particular point, of course, the regular, he says, but then what was that intensity I just felt from her just now? And then Boruto himself goes on to basically talk about what all of us has been like kind of speculating over the past couple of days, that he might be talking about her locked on phase where she gets her Byakugan and then she gets pissed off. That might be the underlying like power that they're talking about. The big part, however, is the fact that this right here, like Damon's like talking about it as if like he could possibly be not necessarily on his level, but up there in the upper echelons. And that right there is significant, mainly because Himawari, a brand new child, not even a shinobi yet, as Boruto said, could possibly be on Otsutsuki level. Like, it just doesn't really make that much sense, but Damon is essentially kind of like saying it. And not only that, there's something that we could look back on for reference of her literally folding Naruto, and then Momoshiki like essentially doing the same thing and not necessarily having the same amount of impact. Now, of course, I believe that Naruto was taken off guard during the Himawari thing, and of course Naruto was much more on guard and much more prepared to take a punch from Momoshiki at that given time. So of course you could possibly make that inference, but again, there's still something that the Boruto writers can point back to and say, hey, Himawari showed us this power a lot earlier, and now all of a sudden she's like code level or Ishiki Otsutsuki level or something like that. Something crazy. But this chapter, all in all, is definitely a very good chapter. And honestly, this right here is probably going to be a chapter that we talk about for years and years on to come. Like we talk about chapter 16, when the Kata organization was first introduced. We talk about chapter 52, Ishiki Otsutsuki versus Barryamo Naruto. We talk about a bunch of other chapters, and I think this right here is probably going to be up there with those chapters as well in regards to impact. Probably not entertainment wise, but impact, Naruto getting sealed, this is huge. But let me know what you guys think. It's me, your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.